امروز من فیسبوک خود باز کردم که اکثر دوستا پرسان کرده بودن، سوال داشتن. البته سوال موضوع گرین کارت نبود، یک موضوع جدید بود که ما هم تا حال روی موضوعات گرین کارت همراه دوستا گپ زدیم و معلومات شریک ساختیم. البته این سوال متفاوت بود و موضوعش هم متفاوت بود. باز دوستایی که پرسان کرده بودن، باز گفتیم این بار یک ویدیو متفاوت بسازیم و با موضوع کاملا جدید و متفاوت. دوستا پرسان کرده بودن که Humanitarian Parole چی است، یا اقامت مشروط امریکا، یا همو به اصطلاح ویزه بشر دوستانه. البته یک ویزه نیست دیگه، فقط همو اقامت مشروط گفته میتونیم که برای 1 سال اجازه سفر با امریکا را شما میتونین از این طریق دریافت کنین. البته ما خودم راجع به این پروسه معلومات زیاد نداشتم، باز تلاش کردم که دقیق ترین معلومات برای شما دوستا جمع آوری کنم و اما قسم همراه یک وکیل گپ زدم که اونا راجع به این پروسه معلومات کافی داشتن. باز همراه از اونا گپ زدم، اونا قبول کردن که برای ما معلومات شریک کنن. حال میریم ویدیویی که ما ساختم، ویدیویی که ما ریکارد کردیم از وکیل و معلوماتایی که اونا شریک کردن با هم میبینیم. باز در آخر ویدیو ما و شما گپ میزنیم.
Hi, my name is Karina Herhusky and I am an attorney here in Apex, North Carolina. My practice focuses mainly on immigration, and I have a few questions from Mary that I'm going to answer with regards to humanitarian parole. What is humanitarian parole? Humanitarian parole is a discretionary authority that allows for entry of individuals into the U.S. for humanitarian reasons or significant public benefit. Parole by itself does not constitute an admission into the United States, meaning that an individual who enters the United States under humanitarian parole will need to apply for an immigration benefit or the immigration benefit that the person qualifies for once they are here in the U.S. The second question I have is, who is eligible for advanced parole and how much does it cost? Anyone can apply on behalf of someone who is outside of the U.S. for humanitarian parole. If the person has an urgent need to come to the U.S., individuals can also petition for humanitarian parole by themselves from outside the U.S. and if they have an urgent need to leave their country and come into the U.S. By filling out this form, the sponsor will assume what responsibilities? The financial sponsor is basically signing a binding contract with the U.S. government, promising to support the applicant financially during the applicant's stay in the U.S. so that the applicant does not become a public charge to the U.S. government during the applicant's stay here in the U.S. Exactly what is the sponsor's expense? The sponsor does not necessarily have an expense other than the USCIS filing fee, which is $575 for the application, and also the financial responsibility of support the immigrant once the immigrant is here in the U.S. Of course, there are additional costs for the applications, like if you have an attorney, the attorney will charge their own legal fees for the representation of the clients. Another question that's not addressed here, but I thought about answering, is the fact that a lot of people ask, if I have like an infant or a newborn baby that I want to bring in the packet with my family, do I also have to pay for that baby? The answer is yes. You have to pay for each individual person that enters into the U.S. under advanced parole. Is it possible to apply for advanced parole from Afghanistan without a sponsor or not? The answer is yes, it is possible to apply for advanced parole directly from Afghanistan without a financial sponsor. However, not having a financial sponsor makes it less likely for you to get approved. There are also other programs available for people that are currently in Afghanistan. There's refugee programs and other ways for people to come into the U.S. Sorry. What is the income criteria for the U.S. sponsor? So the criteria used for determining if the U.S. sponsor's income is sufficient to support the applicant is the same criteria that is used for pretty much any other U.S. visa application. There is a chart online that outlines the financial requirements for the sponsor. Is based pretty much on the household poverty level in the U.S. So basically, the sponsor has to prove that their income is sufficient to support themselves and every member that is in his household, and also the immigrant or the applicant that's coming on the advanced parole. Like, let's say you have a family of 2 and you make $30,000 a year. With a family of 2, I can see that the poverty level, at least for 2019, is $21,137. If you make $30,000, you could easily add another member or another applicant or immigrant into your household and possibly be able to qualify, or making your income qualify or meet the requirements for you to sponsor that immigrant on their advanced parole. Is it true that it takes between 2 and 6 weeks to be approved for advanced parole? The timing of the approval of advanced parole really depends. 2 to 4 weeks sounds a little bit unrealistic, in my opinion. Although typically we request advanced parole application to be expedited from the beginning, we usually have to wait for USCIS to issue a receipt, send it to us, and at that point, we call USCIS to ensure that the application is going to be expedited. After the advanced parole application has been expedited and processed, the person also has to do the consular process, meaning doing the DS-160 for the applicant to come into the U.S. And that process, 4 to 6 weeks sounds to me very unrealistic. So I cannot really tell exactly how long it will be, but 2 to 4 weeks sounds a little bit too fast. So another question here is, I worked with the U.S. in Afghanistan. Is it possible to apply for advanced parole without a sponsor? Well, as I previously said in the other answer to the question, or the other question, yes, you can self-petition to humanitarian parole because you have urgent need to leave and come into the U.S. if you wish to do so. However, not having a financial sponsor is not a good idea, because since advanced parole is already a discretionary is a discretionary decision, not having a financial sponsor makes it a little bit less likely for you to be able to be approved. Apart from the advanced parole program, is there any other way for Afghans to apply for U.S. visas? Yes. Afghans can still be petitioned by their family members to come to the U.S. based on their marriage to the U.S. citizen or the lawful permanent resident or green card holder. A parent can still petition their child. The child can petition their parents. Afghans can also apply as refugees. Like, if you just have to keep in mind that Afghans have to go to a third country to be able to process the advanced parole or visa, because there is no U.S. embassy right now in Afghanistan. The next question is, if you have any information about student visa, please share it with us. School, college, university. So the process for the student visa application is completely separate from the advanced parole. First, you need to have been approved to approved or enroll into an academic program here in the U.S., the institution here in the U.S., or you had to be enrolled into the institution here in the U.S. where you are going to be coming to school. You also had to comply with the financial requirements that are needed for you to show the government that if they give you your student visa, you will be able to not only support yourself here, but also pay the academic institution's fees. It's actually recommended for people to apply for student visas from their country directly, because that process is much faster than coming into the U.S. Under a different non-immigrant visa category and then do an adjustment of status at the time. So yes, you can still apply for a student visa. It's just much faster if you do it from your country. Just keep in mind that in Afghanistan we don't have a U.S. embassy, so you probably will have to do so from a third country. And the financial requirements for you to be able to be accepted in the program, or not to be accepted in the program, but you have to have the finance resources for you to be able to not only pay for the institution, but also support yourself while you are here in the U.S. Because when you are on a student visa, you're not allowed to work. You're a student. Next question. How can Afghans who are in the U.S. apply for a visa for family members? So Afghans who are here in the U.S. can still apply for visas for their family members who are in Afghanistan. That visa application is based on the relationship to the family member, a brother, a sister, a husband, a wife, or a mother or a father, petitioning their sons or their daughters. The length of time that will take for the visa petition to be approved, it will depend on the nature of the relationship to the U.S. citizen or the lawful permanent resident. Like, let's say if you're petitioning your spouse and child, that's probably going to be the fastest application, or your visa is going to be processed faster than if you're petitioning a parent, and of course if you're petitioning a sibling like a brother or a sister. I do not have the financial means to sponsor my entire family, so I want to check in Form I-131, the option that says I am applying from outside of the U.S., because they say applying from outside, or because if you say you're applying from outside, you don't have to pay the $575 application fee. So the answer to that question is, if you don't have the financial means to sponsor your entire family, you can add a different sponsor to the humanitarian parole. Like, let's say you are filling out an application, or you're filing an application for advanced parole for your brother, and you don't have the financial means for you to qualify as a sponsor for your brother based on your income. You can have a friend to fill out the I-134 or the affidavit of financial support, and you can have one person petitioning the advanced parole and then another person signing on the application for being the financial sponsor of the application. So that's an idea for people that have large families and don't have all the financial resources to be able to sponsor all of their family members. The fact that you are applying from the U.S. And that you are checking the option that you are outside of the U.S. does not relieve you from the financial obligation of having to pay the $575 in the filing fees for the advanced parole application, because you can apply from outside. And as a matter of fact, when people apply for advanced parole, they're here in the U.S., but they're applying for somebody that's outside of the U.S. And then this is the last question. How do I complete Form I-92? And will the application be accepted in the same way? So the I-92 is a waiver. It's a waiver form pretty much asking USCIS to waive the filing fee, or the $575 in filing fees that you will be paying for your humanitarian parole. This form requires you to provide information about the reasons why you are unable to pay the filing fees, and when you're filling out this form, you have to make sure that you fill it out correctly and properly. Like, meaning, the form has to be signed, and you have to clearly state the reasons why you are not able to pay for the application. And if that's another application that's also discretionary. If you make any mistake in this application can be rejected, and the entire packet is going to be sent back if they don't approve the waiver. And that's that. Thank you, Mehdi.
Thank you so
and
much.
Bye.
خب دوستا و عزیزا، ویدیو رو تا آخر دیدیم با هم. وی هم بود تمامی سوالایی که ما آماده کرده بودیم که از اینا پرسان کنیم از خانم کرینا، که اینا هم خوشبختانه به تمام سوالای ما جواب دادن. باز ما هم کوشش کردیم که همون سوالای اساسی رو پرسان کنیم تا شما عزیزا معلومات دقیق را گرفته بتونین. البته موضوع Humanitarian Parole اگه خلاصه کنیم دیگه است که خودی پروگرام Humanitarian Parole که است یک برنامه است که امریکا از قبل داشت و یک اقامه مشروط که برای 1 سال برای کسایی که میخواین وارد امریکا شون، و این پروسه طوری است که از قبل هم بوده و حالا فوکس زیادتر سر افغانستان است که افغانستان مردم زیادتر جانش در خطر است و زیادتر نیاز به برنامه دارن. از همون خاطر آمریکا زیادتر فوکس خود هم سر افغانا کرده که این برنامه را برای از اینا زودتر پروسس میکنه و زودتر پیش میبرن. باز از همون خاطر شرایط اساسی اینمی است که شما چی از افغانستان اپلای میکنین، چی از خارج از کشور اپلای میکنین، چی از آمریکا اپلای میکنین، باید اسپانسر داشته باشین. البته اینجا اینا منشن کردن، سوال ما رو پاسخ هم دادن که بدون اسپانسر امکان داره که در این پروسه اشتراک کنی. باز امکان قبولیشی پایین است، امکان قبولی بسیار پایین میره که تقریبا خیلی کم میشه، ولی با اسپانسر امکان قبولی شما زیاد است. از این خاطر اسپانسر باشه خیلی خوبه، یعنی تقریبا الزامی است. و دیگه شرایط ای است که اونمو لیستی که اونا گفتن که برای کسایی که از آمریکا میخوان برای فامیل درخواست بدن، لیستی که درآمد شما چقدر باشد و چقدر اعضای فامیل میتونین اسپانسر کنین، ما در دیسکریپشن ویدیو میمانم که شما طبق از لیست میتونین باز تصمیم خود بگیرین که درآمد شما چقدر است و شما میتونین چقدر نفر اسپانسر کنین. و کسایی که فعلا از افغانستان درخواست میتن، البته گفته که باید خارج از افغانستان برون، به خاطر که در افغانستان سفارت آمریکا تعطیل شده. باز شما دوستایی که میخواین درخواست بدین باید خارج از کشور برین یا کشورهای همسایه، یک از کشورهای همسایه باشه که شما از اونجا بتونین باز مرحله اینترویو یا پاره پیش ببرین. و دیگه مصارفی که هستن وقتی اپلای کردن اونم $575 فیسی فرم هست که باید پرداخت کنین. البته کسایی که بخواید از افغانستان درخواست بدن اونجا هم منشن کردیم که اونم یک فرم دیگه است و رو باید خانه‌پوری کنین تا بتونین در فیس تخفیف بگیرن یا فیس پرداخت نکنن. باز پروسه از این دوستا یعنی این قسم است دیگه، و خصوصا کسایی که میخواین از آمریکا برای دوستای خود اپلای کنن و ما وبسایت از این وکیل شماره تماسش ایمیلش در دیسکریپشن ویدیو ماندیم، میتونین همراهش مستقیم در ارتباط شوین و تمام مشورای لازم را از خودشان بگیرین. و شما هم هر سوالی که داشتین در کامنت ویدیو پرسان کنین. ما باز بخیر یک وقت ملاقات دیگر همراه از این وکیل میگیریم، باز یک ویدیو دیگه برایشون آماده میکنیم، باز سوالایی که شما زیادتر داشتین و سوالای دیگه که داشتین راجع به هر پروسه مهاجرت از این وکیل پرسان میکنیم و به شکل ویدیو برایشون دوستا آماده میکنیم. ویدیو را لایک کنین، چینل اگر برایشون مفید بود سابسکرایب کنین. از این بعد ویدیوهای زیاد راجع به مهاجرت، گرین کارت و این موضوعات برایشون دوستا آماده میکنیم و دقیق ترین معلومات کوشش میکنیم برایشون دوستا جمع آوری کنیم تا شما هم بتونین کارهایی که در دست گرفتین و بخواین به امریکا مهاجرت کنین دقیق ترین معلومات داشته باشین و گلی افرادی که خصوصا در صفحات مجازی فعالیت دارن و پولای هنگفتی از شما میخواهن و میگن که ما شما رو امریکا میبریم، گل از زور ما رو نخورین. دیگه تشکر از اینکه تا حال ویدیوی ما رو دیدید. تا ویدیوهای بعدی خدایا رو نگهدار شما. یک چیز دیگه یادم رفت دوستا، ویدیو رو حتما با دوستا و عزیزای خود شریک کنین که کسایی که میخواین راجع به این پروسه معلومات داشته باشن و یا او عزیزایی که در آمریکا هستن میخواین برای دوستای خود درخواست بتن و معلومات ندارن تا همین معلومات اونا به دست بیارن. دیگه خدایا رو نگهدار شما.